When you're racing against the clock because of an incoming cold front, these two baits right here in my hand will save your outing. Welcome back to another episode of Bassin' with Captain Lou. I should call these my winter fishing series because man, oh man, I went out fishing today, beautiful morning, light wind, all of a sudden incoming cold front. But let me tell you something, in between that transition of the cold front approaching, man, did that bite turn on. Stick around, I'm gonna share with some tips with you guys that might help you guys capitalize on a bite if you find yourself in the same situation. All right, so let me go ahead and lay out the scenario for you guys. The morning started off very slow. It was very, very quiet. Beautiful, partly cloudy skies, very light wind. Fish weren't that active. Started moving around. Went to an area that has always been nice to me. So I figured if they weren't biting shallow, let me try an area, a transitional area that's very, very deep, but it has very shallow, rocky shelves. And man, did that gamble pay off. It paid off big time. In the course of 2 hours, I was able to catch over 20 bass, and my top 5 bass went over 16 pounds just because of making that adjustment. Now, 2 baits helped me capitalize on this bite. These baits are not new to the channel. I talked about these baits a lot, but let me just talk to you guys. The 2 baits. Fluke, stick bait. If you're new to South Florida or new to fishing out here in the Everglades, those 2 baits have to be, let me repeat, have to be in your boat or in your fishing bag at all time. Why? Because they just flat out catch bass. So when it comes to winter fishing this time of year out here in the Everglades, when it comes to winter time, weather could change very quickly, meaning you could have an incoming front, especially if you watch the weather. If you watch the weather and time it, it could be pretty good, but if you've lost track of the weather, you could have a situation where a front's coming through, and we've had several fronts come through over the course of the last few days. But if you could time it, or if you're on the water as we're having this transitional type of situation with the weather, the bite can turn on and you can have a fantastic outing. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a slam dunk. I mean, you got to find these bass. And what happened today with me is that remember that I spoke to you guys about transitional zones or transitional areas on a couple of videos ago. So I decided to go to this area that I haven't fished in quite some time. And this transitional area is pretty good. It's a rocky shelf that's shallow on the outside and then deep towards the middle. And I figured with the weather the way it is, I figured that these bass have to be transitioning either shallow to deep or deep to shallow or somewhere in between. And man, when I reached the area I was looking for, the fish let me know really quick. I came across this little opening, and right before I crossed into the opening, I went ahead and threw my stick bait. As soon as my stick bait hit the water, there was this little tick, felt the weight, set the hook, and it was a decent bass. I said, wait a second, let me try this again. Same area, another bite. My antennas went up. A few more casts later, I started catching bass in this particular area on a frequent basis. I went ahead and moved a few yards, same area, bass. Moved to another area, a few yards, bass. They were hot in this particular spot. I'm like, let me take it a step further. Let me go to the other side. Same situation, deeper water with a shallow shelf with rock. Man, let me tell you, that area, which was about an acre in size, that area produced a lot of bass for me, over 20 bass, and my top 5 went over 16 pounds. So come along with me. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go out in the water for a little while, because I did share a lot of information while I was on the water, so I wanna go ahead and piggyback some of that information, and hopefully you guys will pick up on some of those tips, and we'll be back. Right in that corner behind me. Look at this. Look at this beauty. I know that was a bad angle with the sun, but look at this beauty right here. Right next to the boat in a corner. I'm telling you, when you find a hot spot, stick to your hot spot. So since finding this hot spot, I mean, this is about, I don't know, I would say about an acre in size, this area here. And what it consists of a shallow rocky flat, and then it empties, and then it goes down several feet into like a canyon. But nonetheless, these fish are just holding up around the perimeter, and they just keep replenishing themselves around this area. I mean, since I started in this area, I'm at 15 pounds, 10 ounces already. And that one puts me at 12 fish. Now, don't get me wrong, I was working a lot this morning until I found this area. So when you catch a fish, just work the area a little bit more, and they're gonna start giving you some clues. And those guys gave me some clues to stay put in this particular spot. Now for giggles, I'm gonna cast to the same spot again and see if there's another one there. Let's see what happens. There we go. Look at this, another one. Same freaking spot. Look at the size of this one. This is a nice one. The wind is blowing it and I don't want to mess up the spot. But this is another chunky one. But look, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But this spot right over here, that spot right there, has been producing fish like crazy for me. Now I'm very close. I'm gonna go ahead and give this spot to breathe. I have another spot that's been hot too. So I got hot spots in all this areas. Okay, so I know. Stickworm, hot. Fluke, hot. Swim bait, okay. So I'm moving to the opposite side of this particular rectangular cove, I would call it. And I just lost a nice one on the fluke. Right over here on those little pencil reeds over there. As soon as it hit the water, the line got heavy. Back. Just heard another blow up back in the corner that I was at. So I'm gonna work this corner and I'm gonna circle back and go in that corner. Oh, yeah, that's a good fish. Nice fish. Look at this beauty. That one came from the shallows. I missed it earlier. I think it came back. Nice one. Now there comes a point where you overstay your welcome. However, like in this situation, I overstayed my welcome, but I did manage to pull out 19 fish out of here, with my top 5 being 16 pounds. So when you find a hot spot, take your time, be patient, and hunker down. The 2 baits that produced the most for me, as you guys can see, I'm holding one here, is the fluke, and the other one was the stickworm, and then I would just change. When the bite would slow down, I would switch to the other one, and I go back and forth. But it seems to that they've slowed down. Also, there's another front coming through today as well because our temperatures are going to dip, so that could be affecting them as well. But I tell you what, if I were to call the trip right now, it was a fun trip. Man, wasn't that crazy? That was unbelievable. So many bass in such a little amount of time. It was just cast after cast after cast, and it was like the fish were there. And then all of a sudden, just like that, they were gone. And that's bass fishing for you out here in the wintertime, guys. You gotta capitalize on that bite when the opportunity presents itself. Hopefully I was able to share enough information with you guys so that if you're, like I said, if you're out here new to the Everglades or you're new to South Florida, hopefully I was able to teach you guys some tips and tricks on how to capitalize on the bite when the weather changes. Like this video, share this video, better yet subscribe. The community is growing. I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of this video. Have a Merry Christmas. You want to learn more about transitional spots? Check out this video right here. You want to learn 2 tips in regards to winter fishing? Check out this video right there. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys again soon.